And we're
We,
on.
we are live. 24 hours and 4 minutes late. That's all it is.
I don't think anybody's keeping track.
I had two people ask me, Dan. Two human beings asked me today, said, when are you doing the show?
He's like, well, he died.
So, yeah, you know what?
Join us tomorrow for a very special edition of the podcast.
We hardly knew thee. Here we start. Okay.
All right.
Episode 23. Crazy.
Good
Coming
old
up
Michael
on
Jordan.
coming up on half a year here. It's pretty nuts.
Huh.
Huh?
Yeah. I think,
right, yeah.
well, so the question is, what is the average lifespan of the typical two middle-aged white dudes doing a podcast? I feel like by this point we've beat the spread, right?
I think we beat the spread. Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely nobody's listening to your average two white dudes on a podcast. So we're still in that meaty middle. But yeah, I think yeah, that's
Right.
Didn't we try to look this up? Average.
I think we found the
Number-
average length of the episode, but not like the lifespan duration of the project.
Success, a long game. That's 43 minutes. Okay. Yeah. See, why everyone goes straight to the time? Who cares about the time? I had a podcast in the top 10. It had fewer than 25 episodes. That doesn't make sense. But whatever.
That sounds like one of those things like, I had a podcast and blah, 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 and I turned it around. And here I'm going to show you how to do it for $35, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Welcome
this is
to
also like
podcasting. This is my masterclass.
also a lot of the averages come up with like average listeners per podcast. So since we're not actually putting anything out there, whatever. Crazy. Maybe we should actually start podcasting for real.
Yeah, but
we
we
call
should
it a
figure-
podcast, but we don't actually put it on a podcatchers. So
Well, a song isn't necessarily not a song because it's not on YouTube.
I agree. Podcast is kind of a catch-all generic term.
If that is a term for people talking about stuff, then
Yeah.
it exists because we make it, not because it is heard.
Right. It's like
We
right, for
choose
sure.
to do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Hey, look, it's an adhesive bandage. It's not a band-aid, okay? All right. If you call it a band-aid, well, whatever. They're two
I
separate
just like to
things.
throw that JFK Mayor Quimby quote into any conversation I can.
Well, if you're not doing it in the Mayor Quimby voice, you're not doing JFK. Let's be real. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah. So I wanted
Speaking
to
of
talk
old white male governmental figures,
yeah, we'll talk about. Well, we don't have to talk shit about Joe Biden, but we're just gonna talk about stuff
but
that
it's so
Joe Biden's
easy.
done. It is. Yeah, the vaccine mandate thing. Hitting home with people that I know, a lot of people that I know, hitting home with me and my business, and been on my mind a little bit lately. I think it's a lot of BS here. So, just real quick, just generally thinking about it, like I know a lot of friends that have to get it because they work for companies that have more than 100 people and or work for the federal government. So therefore, or some kind of federal government ancillary thing or a subcontractor for it. So
Right.
they are now faced with that idea. I know a lot of people that have done it because of that. Like they weren't going to do it. They didn't feel like they needed the vaccine. And then they felt like they were forced to do it because, they have to feed their family. So I totally respect that idea. I hate that idea, but I get why they do it. And they're not happy about it. They did it. They feel varying degrees of violation and anger and frustration, and it sucks. And I know also some people that are not going to do it and are rapidly planning on getting fired and doing other careers like as soon as they possibly can, which seems like seemingly impossible to rearrange your entire life in just a couple months. So that sucks. And my experience, so like I've already gotten notices because I don't work for a federal government. My company's not over 100 people, so we don't have to do it. However, I'm a subcontractor for contractors that work on base, like on the military institutions here in or installations. And we've already gotten notice. Heads up, this is coming. Be prepared to have your employees prevent vaccination verification before you can come work on base. So that'll effectively probably could nix what we do in that sector of our business. So that blows pretty hard.
What fraction of your business is federal contracts?
Depends on the year. I got a couple contractors I work with that exclusively do base work, so I wouldn't be able to work with them anymore. Some of them are larger projects. Some of them are like day to day, like come over here and fix a window, like for instance, or come over here and do a couple mirrors on base or do something on a storefront, a smaller job. Or some of them are big, man, where they're like a couple $100,000 contracts. So just depends on the year. Like I don't have those jobs every day, like the bigger ones, but it effectively cuts out a couple of my contractors that I would consider very good customers. So that sucks because I'm not going to mandate. We won't mandate that stuff for our employees. That's not fair. And I don't know if we get enough volunteers. I mean, we may, but it's just one of those things. Oh, the dog, he's here. It's got to be your dog, right?
Yeah, that's mine.
It's not mine.
He detected an intruder, which is, but it's probably a squirrel.
It's doing his job.
Hey, calm down. Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
That's a can of worms.
Yeah, so like I feel for the guys that had to do it and they did it for their families, and I feel for the guys that aren't going to do it and now have to like completely scramble to make things work for their families. And I feel stupid for complaining about it to my degree. Like it's a portion of my business, and I'm lucky and blessed to have other streams of income other than that. But like it sucks for the guys that are in no position, or guys and girls in that position, to do it. It's terrible. Do you know anybody in that spot, or have you run across anybody?
Not really. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty much only in charge of myself, right?
Right.
And so I don't know if any of my clients have
not a bad spot to be, by the way.
Well, it has its ups and downs, which is a whole different conversation.
Fair enough.
But I don't know if any of my people have, like, at least to my knowledge, they haven't said anything like, "Hey, everybody who comes to our place has to be, has to be vaccinated or whatever."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I was told, by my superiors, back in April, it was like, "Hey, everybody should get the vaccine," but it wasn't like a rule. Yeah. And at the time, I didn't really think about it very much because I was like, yeah, that probably seems like a pretty good idea. So everybody was kind of on the same page. We didn't really have anybody who was like really going to be against it. I could think of maybe a couple of people, but like they happen to have retired within the past couple of years. So that kind of would have been an interesting conversation. But it's kind of crappy. It's weird. And it's one thing that's like, it'd be one thing if it was like Ebola.
Yep.
Right. At least now, here's the question. Like, would a federal vaccine mandate be less wrong? How bad does a disease have to be for it to be, you know what I mean? Because it's like, because Rona is, as bad as it is, not the worst thing in the world.
Correct.
Right? Just in terms of numbers and statistics and stuff. So it's like, that's part of why people complain about this stuff.
Yeah.
But it would be an interesting sort of social experiment. Like if you took a survey, like how bad would a disease have to be for you to change your opinion on like this kind of stuff?
Okay. So, right. I can't answer for everybody else. I would say, I mean, from just a moral standpoint, you don't have the right to mandate anybody put anything in their body that they don't want to, or to undergo a medical procedure that they don't want to. Like if it's Ebola, I mean, come on, dude. If there's a 50% chance that you're going to die, and you're going to die like with your eyeballs dissolving and you're bleeding out of your butthole, you're going to probably get that vaccine in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even a vaccine mandate at that point. It's a vaccine. Everyone's jumping through hoops to get it. That kind of situation. But like, I understand what you're saying. Like, for those less inclined to be stubbornly individualistic, like what line do you draw? But like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't feel like you can. I don't have the right over anyone else to tell them they have to take a medical procedure that I want them to.
Yeah. I mean, you only have it, you have that right insofar as it relates to you. So
Yes,
maybe
right,
like you as a business owner should have the right
right.
to
Yeah,
not that it would
yeah,
be
yeah. Go ahead.
a good idea, but like I don't see why, to me the ideal scenario is like the government can say like, look, we would like to encourage businesses to encourage their employees to get vaccinated. Obviously, we can't force you to force them, but if you want to ask your employees, as a consensual relationship between adults, then you can do so. Now, probably at your own peril, right? It's not going to be good
Yeah.
for business. Just
Well,
like
here's where.
people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would agree insofar as like new business relationships, right? Not existing ones. So like, I was like, for instance, I was talking to my wife about it. She's like, "Well, you don't have any contracts right now." I was like, "No, I'm not in the middle of a contract." She's like, "Well, what would have happened if you're in the middle of a contract with the federal government and they said now everyone has to be vaccinated?" I was like, "Well, I think I would just go, here's your material, pay me for my time and my material. You're good to go. Our contract's over now. Like that's a void of contract.
Yeah, they void the contract.
Right." And I think I would be okay.
They don't
with
get to.
that.
They wouldn't get to change the terms of the contract after it exists.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
like for instance, so for as an employer, I would also say that that's kind of the same thing. Everyone I have an employment contract with, there was no you have to have this medical procedure to work here. So therefore, I wouldn't be like you all have to do this or you're out of here. Now, if I felt the need to do that, I could do that for new employees on and be like, listen, it's best for everyone here that you're coming in here fresh or coming in here new, just so you know I require this. Do you agree? If they agree, that's completely consensual. But like the way it is right now, it's a threat of your job and a threat of your livelihood and a threat against feeding your family to be like you have to do this because I said so. That's not a
Yeah.
position I feel comfortable being
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that control. I don't want that control over people's lives,
Yeah.
and I don't know how bad it would have to be. But then again, that's what I'm saying. If it was so bad, if it was so scary,
You wouldn't have
if
to
it was
convince people.
you wouldn't have to convince people. You wouldn't have to threaten them. Yeah, you wouldn't have to mandate it.
I mean, people as a general rule are kind of dumb, but they're not that dumb, right?
Well, I agree. Yes, yes.
You know,
Because people do stupid, unhealthy things all the time. But
Right.
like, and if it was really such a bad thing, where I was just like, I think you're all gonna kill me. This I remember talking about this early on, like where people are just like, it's so bad, you're gonna die. Everyone needs to stay in. Blah blah blah. You need to do this. You need to do that. But people's lives betrayed that. They would go out. They would do things. They
Right.
would. Right. They wouldn't wear their mask properly. If it was such an imminent threat and like per the if the high level of hysteria met the actual threat level, you would act totally differently than the way most people have reacted. Like I think that's across the board.
Yeah.
And that continues with this kind of stuff with the mandates and the whatever, either mask and like masks for sure, mandates
Yeah.
on
I
vaccines
mean, and
for
people
sure.
who just want to use it to further whatever it is that they already wanted to do politically anyway. Right.
Yeah,
Like, what a
right.
surprise, the people who believe that the government should be in charge of everything. When a crisis comes, they go, ooh, I know what the solution is. Let's put the government in charge of everything.
Right.
But it's
Yeah, man.
the
ahead.
conflict between the states and the federal government is an interesting one. You know what I mean? Whereas was it Texas?
Yep.
They just said, okay, we're banning the mandates for a business, and so the businesses are like, well, now what do we do? Because now we've got these federal contracts.
Okay,
that
quick question. Yeah, did they say they ban the mandate or they say we won't enforce it?
Pretty sure the governor said they don't
did they
allow
do-
companies in that state to require it. Meaning that if that companies wanted to work for federal contractors, they would be in a tight spot. Like, who do they disobey? Because
Right.
both they stand to be fined in both scenarios.
Yeah, right. Texas governor's ban on vaccine mandates. Right. So he went from public school. Yeah, because that's what it is. Oh, okay. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. So what do they do? You're right. So like, or yeah, people that like in my position, if I was in Texas and like
Yeah,
Who,
because I'd
yeah,
be saying to the governor, I'd be like,
who-
"Look, I agree with you, but you're making this worse on everybody."
well, yeah, but also like a federal government contractor, the federal government's land is the federal government's land, which yeah, I disagree or agree with that. But
Okay.
like they have that jurisdiction, right?
Mhm.
So like in like in our area, if I go to Cherry Point, it's like if I break the law on like on base, it's a federal offense no matter what I do. You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if I rob a store on Cherry Point, it's infinitely worse than if I
You get in
knock
a
over
fight at the bowling
Quickie
alley with
Mart.
some jarbos.
Oh yeah, dude, it's instantaneously worse. It's like it's federal level everything, and I could be wrong about that, but like you know, in general though, it's federal property, so like you're dealing with the feds no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like so yeah, it's that is a super interesting conundrum for those people. But you know, but I think it's kind of necessary. I think it's good. I mean, I get the frustration, but I also see the value in a state going, yeah, you know, we're not doing that. But also, it is okay. So, excuse me.
I think I would put it like maybe. I don't know if I put the federal government requiring something and then the state banning that requirement. It feels like it's just one government overreach battling another government overreach. Maybe
It
the
is.
thing for the state to say would be like, okay, you got you federal government, your mandate is not welcome here, so we're not going to cooperate, right? So you don't get to use the
Yep.
resources of a state probably doesn't have the power to like keep all federal employees out of their state. I mean, that'd be
Well,
huge
it
deal.
does. Yeah, they'd have to make it'd be a big stink, but they could do it.
So, but they could say, look, well, okay, you're not going to get any help from us, so don't expect the county sheriffs, and the
Yes, right. Right.
that kind of stuff to help you enforce your constitutionally illegal mandate.
Yeah, see, that's the rub with the Texas stuff because like you got to kind of agree with what they're doing, but disagree with how they're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the like it was the mask. No masks were allowed in schools and all that kind of stuff.
that was
And
Florida.
didn't Texas do that too?
Oh, I don't. Maybe they did.
Or either way, or in Florida, for example, just the same thing. So like I agree with the idea that saying it's not mandated. We will not mandate schools to do that. Now, however, if a school wants to do it on a limited basis, they should be able to do that.
To a school district or like, okay, so what if it was one teacher?
Yeah, right. No, right, exactly. So, but again, also we're trying to refresh my memory. They were still. I mean, you could still wear a mask to school. Though,
Yeah, nobody's
right?
saying people can't wear a mask. The question
So
is,
that's a little bit. That's, right,
say
that was
you had
different.
some teacher that was in like Tallahassee or something who was like, I don't feel safe. I want all my students to wear masks when they come in my class.
Right, you couldn't do that.
Right.
All right. Let me think about this as I go through it. So like with the mandate though, like so yeah, right. You can't mandate that. I would agree. But that should it be a law though? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I wouldn't mandate my employees to wear a mask or get a vaccine. But it's because I don't think it's a moral
Right.
I don't,
Well,
but
you could say a state
what
could
I-
make a rule for state employees.
No, but what I'm saying is like I personally wouldn't do it. I think that's wrong. Would I stop someone else from doing it? I don't think I have that right either. You know what
No,
I mean?
you don't have the power to stop. I mean, right, like a government. Right, like something county or North Carolina. I mean, they shouldn't be able to force a business to have or have not a mandate.
Correct.
That's up to the business, right?
Yes.
And then it's up to customers whether they want to go to that business. It's up to the employees
And
whether they
employees if they want to
whether
work
they
there.
want to
Yeah.
want to work there.
That is correct.
Right. So, like, and it's not the federal government can't require the states to do so.
Yeah. I
So-
would agree.
Yeah. But if somebody
Right.
wants to, I mean, knock yourself out. It's your own. It's your
Yeah.
funeral.
Well, see, yeah, exactly. There's all sorts of things that like you should be able to do that are terrible ideas. Like I would never stop you from. Like, I don't have the right to stop you to do it. That's a terrible idea, and you shouldn't do it. Like there's a million things just like that, and this is one of them. But yeah, so it's weird.
I was thinking about this the other day.
ahead.
Like, why don't we ban motorcycles? Like, I had a friend
Yeah.
the other day. Not really like a great friend. A guy I knew who was a wonderful person, had a wife, 3 kids. Killed on a motorcycle the other day.
Really?
Through no fault of his own, like somebody else merged wrong or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, and I had another friend, again, a person I didn't know super well, but like last year or so, clipped by a driver, killed. Had a wife, couple kids, super sad. And it's like, that wouldn't happen if they hadn't been on motorcycles.
Yeah.
Why don't we just tell? Motorcycles are statistically very dangerous. Why are we allowing these vehicles to be operated on the road? And motorcycles, what do they pose the most risk to? The person on them. You're in a car versus motorcycle accident, you're probably fine, even if you're in a Honda Civic.
Oh yeah, sorry, I thought I meant on the motorcycle. You're gonna lose. Yeah. No, I get you.
So it's like you're not at risk for hurting other people really in a motorcycle relative to a car. So it's like, by this logic, we should ban motorcycles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're talking about a situation where a person is most likely to hurt themselves. They're not much of a danger to another person. And if that other person feels threatened, then they can take steps to protect themselves.
By not driving a motorcycle.
Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No,
totally, of course. Yeah. Or geez, man, or even then, like, why do we have a speed limit over 35 miles an hour? In fact, all cars should be mandated to be tanks. We should go 15 miles an hour. Motor deaths would be cut to zero. If there was regulators on cars for 20 miles an hour.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yep. It'd be very hard to kill somebody going 20 miles an hour. I mean, I guess you could, but
Yeah.
statistically speaking,
like that steamroller, was it Austin Powers?
Yes, exactly.
He's like, stop. And he's like,
I mean, no, this is crunch. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So there, we could come up with a million examples like that, and it's right. You don't have the authority over people's lives to tell them what to do and what to not do when it comes to their bodily autonomy and their safety. And it's such a weird time to be in. I don't know. I feel like people are they're overshooting it here, I think. Or maybe I'm trying not to be like, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want this to be like my own personal bias, and I'm seeing stuff that I want to see. I'm seeing people really mad about it. I'm like, the country's had it. This is over. And it's like 6 people in the country, and I'm just like in an echo chamber. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how bad it is. Like, I know how bad it is amongst the
how
people
bad what
that I
it is.
know.
You talking about the rhetoric,
the reaction? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How bad the actual scenario is for people that don't want it? They're gonna quit. They're gonna leave. They're getting fired, or they did it under coercion, and they feel violated to some degree.
I have to imagine that it's not as bad as it would seem like, given a casual perusal of the internet, like most things, right?
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that there are some people like that out there who are like really taking these hard line stances, but I don't think that they realize that they're being used by politicians, right? So,
right.
In the same regard that pick up like an ultra left wing cause, I don't think those people like what's her face, the environmentalist chick, Greta Thunberg, is that her name? Like, she's just a kid, right?
Right.
And it's kind of gross the way that like the powers that be kind of use her, as a mouthpiece to spout off a bunch of stuff, knowing that because if anybody comes back and they go, well, actually, I think that's wrong, and I don't really think that makes sense at all, and they go, okay, yeah, all right, just punch down on the kid. I see what you're doing.
That's right. That's right. Attack this slightly autistic chick. That's right.
And so then it's like, now you can't have a conversation, right? So I think, I agree in spirit with the idea of it, but it seems like a strange hill to die on. Because it's like,
which part?
I refuse to get a vaccine. Like, I understand why you would refuse to get a vaccine on principle, right? But like, I don't know.
I don't know. I get the hill to die on. I do.
I guess I haven't had anybody like saying get this or else, right? I got it because I was like, all right, this probably makes my life easier.
Sure.
And I don't have the time or the effort to deal with, but
yeah. And like, yeah. So, right. And I don't disagree with you there. And like,
I lived in Carteret County, where it wasn't as, I'd be like, I'm not going to bother,
Yeah.
whereas, but then, I'm flying to New York tomorrow, and I got my little laminated vaccine card, right, and carrying it on my person.
Wow.
So if the stormtroopers show up and show me your papers, I can.
Yeah, but see, like right there, that's so creepy.
It's
that's
weird.
Like such. it's such a creepy.
I'm bracing myself for being weirded out.
Yeah, like I'm not comfortable with that. I don't like that idea, and not that I wouldn't fly ever. I mean, I guess at some point I'm going to have to fly. I don't know if that means I'll have to get a vaccine to fly, or maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe I won't fly. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, man. I'm not in a position where I have to do it. So, but I'm only to a certain degree. But like, I see why people go, I'm not doing that. You can't push me to that level. The precedent it sets is very uncomfortable and very, very scary. And I get that. And then people go like, well, we've done this for other vaccines, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, sure, we have. And that was wrong too. But also those other vaccines were vaccines that worked. Because like now we're pushing a vaccine that you get a vaccine that's still you're able to get the disease. You're still able to transmit it. And also you're going to need more of those vaccines in the future. So it's a real shitty vaccine.
Well, depending on which side of Fauci and Biden's mouth you listen to.
Well, right? No, I would say consider the facts. I'm like the breakthrough cases are a thing. Like it's not even a.
Yeah, but they're so statistically not dangerous.
No. I'm not. Again, that's the point though. But like now there's COVID. Like statistically, it's not dangerous.
But
right.
I mean,
so it's a theatrical thing, and like it just like it makes no sense. Like you're gonna make us do something. You make somebody do something. If you're in a risk factor level that's so small, and you're gonna get the vaccine, and then the vaccine doesn't actually stop you from getting the disease, and it doesn't stop you from transmitting the disease.
Well, it does stop you from having symptoms.
I guess so. Sure.
Well,
but it's not a vaccine.
It's a huge reduction in the severity of the symptoms and in the transmissibility.
Oh, okay, there, Heinrich Himmler, Dan. What? No, I'm just kidding. But like, what I'm saying is like, it's all minimum risk.
Ich bin the vaccines.
Ich bin vaccina. So okay. But the point is though, like it seems like, so all that aside, true, I agree. Like it does reduce your stuff, reduce the symptoms. Great, that's good. But like the symptoms aren't that bad for most people that get it.
Right.
So like it's an exercise in futility, or it's an exercise in control, or hysteria.
Well, right now it's an exercise in control, because I mean,
So then that's a good reason to push back, I guess, is what I would say.
Right, because you can tell. Right. So because we know we've seen this scenario before. Like, when was the last time the government walked back power?
You still have to take your shoes off when you go to New York, when you walk through the TSA.
Yeah.
Dan, tell me how that goes. Take your belt off. Have someone rub your butt a little bit. It's kind of it's a good time if you have a couple of drinks later.
So like, I forgot where I was going with that.
Oh, sorry. Exercise and control.
Oh, right. Because it's like, okay, crazy disease happening. Yeah, okay, statistically it's not a lot, but like even a small percentage of a huge population is a lot of people. So, we're doing all these lockdowns and stuff, and it's like, but there was always that carrot at the end of the stick. We're like, well, we're working on a vaccine, Operation Warp Speed, we're going to do all this stuff. And then when we get to that point, then we're going to be over it, right? But the problem is that the government, they got the taste of blood. They're like, ooh, people will just vote away over their freedoms if we scare them enough. They're not going to think twice about their neighbors or their parents or their, friends losing their business and just being told to do stuff, and they just do it and they comply and everybody gets in line and they all follow. They're like, oh, shoot. Well, we're kind of enjoying this. I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I'm not conspiratorial enough to think that like it's a conscious thing, but I think there's like a subconscious trend, where power goes and it wants to accumulate more power. And so now that we have the vaccine, it's like, oh crap. Well, now people have the choice to protect themselves, and they don't need us to protect them anymore. So how are we going to control what they do? And how are we going to use this as an excuse to reshape the economy? They've admitted that that's what they want to do. I mean, was it Jen Psaki the other day? She's like, well, President Biden's committed to, what is it? He has bold plans to not reshape the economy, or it was some sort of dramatic sounding verb. And this is the best time to do it. It was basically what she said.
Was it a noun that they turned into a verb, like adulting or something?
Solution to solve.
Sorry.
It was something like that. And it's like, if you're listening to that and you're like, hold on a minute. That's like, what's the guy from the Obama administration? Never let a good crisis go to waste. That's
Right.
exactly what they're open about it. They're open about the
Yeah.
fact that like, yeah, we're going to use this as an excuse to reshape the economy to fit what we think. And so how can you trust anything coming down from people like that, you know? Because you're talking about, if you just look at the numbers of how dangerous the virus is, it's not very for the vast majority of people. And then you combine the vaccine, even the vaccine's perfect, it makes it even more so vastly less dangerous.
Sure.
And it's like,
Yes.
but now, and they had the one, if it was really about safety and they really wanted to make people get the vaccine, then they would have stopped with all this extra mask bullshit. Right? Because one of the main selling points of getting the vaccine is like, well, if I get the vaccine, then I can go to concerts.
I don't gotta wear my mask.
I can go into the Wendy's. Well, I can't because there's nobody working there because everybody's staying at home. But like, you know, you can go do stuff. You don't have to wear a mask anymore. You can go to the football games. It'd be like something out of a chewing gum commercial, you know?
Yeah.
So like, but now they're like, oh, actually, you know, you get the droplets. You still got to wear a mask. It's like you just reduced the motivation for millions of people to get the vaccine.
Correct.
By telling them that it's very good, except when it's not. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I mean, it's questionable the effectiveness of a mask on a normal person, much less a normal person who's had the vaccine.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're talking about like fractions of fractions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree. Right. Yep. It's the same thing with just the like you said, the effects of the COVID on you if you have the vaccine. So like if you get it, your likelihood of dying is very low. Your likelihood of getting really beat up on it is whatever it is. But like if you have the vaccine, your likelihood of dying is like zero. It's very more, which is almost zero anyway.
Well, I did the math the other day. You saw like I found this study was from like Wisconsin, and they had like the number of people.
I haven't been trolling on Facebook for a while, so I might not have seen your post. So, explain.
I don't know if it was Wisconsin. It was somewhere in the Midwest. But it was like, okay, you got the total number of population of the state. The number of people who were vaccinated were like 50 or 60. I don't know. It was some percentage. And then they basically calculated how many breakthrough cases there were as a percentage of the people who were vaccinated.
Right.
And I want to say it was like 1 in 20 or something like that. And that seemed pretty high. But then the number of those people who had those breakthrough cases who were hospitalized was like 1 out of 18. And then the number of people who were hospitalized who died was about 1 in 10. So if you multiply each of those percentages by, basically you end up with a 1 in 250,000%. No, 100 is it either 25,000 or 250,000 chance of dying from a breakthrough case if you had the vaccine.
Sure.
And yet, if you go to a Packers game, I'm sure you got to wear a mask. It's like,
well, actually, I don't think you have to, but like, that's
you might want to. Like, it's really cold up there.
Well, yeah, keep your nose warm. Keep all that frozen snot in your nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, no, none of it makes sense. Like
I still see people socially distancing, like walking around. Like I go to some of these workspaces, and I know everybody there's got the vaccine, and they're sitting there wearing masks and intentionally sitting like 10, 15 feet from each other. I'm like, people.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. It's freaking a lot of people out. It's just I don't know what the long term effects will be. So like I'll be interested. I would like to see what happens after like December 8th, which I think is the federal mandate cutoff time. Like everyone's got to have it by December 8th. For the 100 employees over, and then the contractors. So it'd be interesting to see what's up. But like over the past few months or since the spring, it's been like on average almost like 4 million people leaving the workforce, like resigning.
Yeah, I heard about like August was like a record number.
Yeah, it was like 4.5 or something like that. And I'm not under any illusion that it's all because of or even the majority of people doing that are because of this kind of scenario. But like it's a huge. I mean, even if it's only a small percentage, like I was just trying to Google around and see kind of what percentage of people might have decided to quit because of the vaccine mandates. And it's everything from like 1 to 5% you're seeing from like whatever, like the 20 news stories I was able to pull up today. So like, I don't know, 5% of 4.5 million is like 220,000 people. That's a lot of people, man. Yeah. Like on an average they're making that decision because of, because of that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting. Just yeah, who knows how many of these people?
yeah, I don't think you can
Yeah,
actually
see,
really
I
know.
was reading about that too because it's like okay, some of the talking points are like people are leaving crappy jobs and getting better jobs, and I'm like, yeah,
I'm
but
not
that
seeing
doesn't
that.
then the base employment level would stay the same, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
account for all the
right.
people. Why are all these people just leaving their jobs and just not
Right,
working?
because they're taking the crappy jobs because those people had left a job. Where did they go? Like,
Well,
was
that's why you can't eat inside a Wendy's or KFC now, and you go to a hotel and there's like two people working. So if assuming that a certain amount of people quit their jobs and moved up, and another percentage of people quit their jobs and just stayed home.
yeah. See. Here's the deal. Yeah, here's what this ties into a question I had with the resignation numbers. The Great Resignation is what people are calling it. So, like, where are these people going, and what are they doing?
Right.
Like, so
They can't all be just getting better jobs because
no,
then the
and they
numbers would stay the same.
but can they all just be sitting home? Because they're like the unemployment thing is, I think, done in most spots.
I don't
The
know the answer to that.
I think it is. Or maybe there's state unemployment that still rolls. I mean, the eviction moratorium is 50-50 in spots. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't, it does not compute to me how you can just stop working and still be okay. Like, but I know people do it, but like, I don't get how they do it.
Yeah.
But like you said, though, like, it can't just be
Look at
like,
my cousin. He's broke. Don't do shit.
yeah. But like, and not to knock being a cashier at Wendy's, the cashier at Wendy's didn't, quit his job and then go become a respiratory therapist or a freaking like nurse anesthetist or something like that quit a job at a hospital. That's not a jump that's able to be made, right? You know what I mean? Like, they're getting
Yeah.
better jobs, sure, but you have to get better jobs in your field, which I guess that can happen, but that means that job is still open, and the job's open for a reason because there's not enough workers in that position.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a
You
lot
know
of
what I mean?
businesses closing. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. No, maybe that's it. But that's not a resignation, though. If the business closed, that they're just, I don't know. And like looking at the unemployment rate, I think it came in at 4 or 5 or 5 or something in August. But then like that's like one of those things that just it's still a complete bullshit number because they never count people looking for work, people underemployed, and people that have just completely stopped. Sorry, people.
Yeah,
have
who are they
stopped looking for work.
surveying with these numbers?
Oh yeah, that I don't even want to get into. But like all I know is they don't if you're not looking for work, you don't count. Like, you could be looking for work, you just given up, or you're underemployed, or a couple other factors. So like people say like you can usually take the unemployment rate and double it, and that's more likely what it's at. So if it's like 4.55, unemployment rate is really 10. Like when you actually fact, because the government fudges the numbers to make it look better, no matter who you are, whatever administration it is.
Yeah.
So like, and like 10% unemployment rings true to me with what I see just going out into the real world and seeing short-staffed people freaking everywhere. And it's not even like just restaurants and stuff like that.
Well, that's
like,
what's weird about it.
It's
I
service
guess.
industries. It's
Normally,
it's,
correct me if I'm wrong, but like normally in a low economic, in a dip, you see a lot of people like looking for work. Like, hey man, you got somewhere I can work? You know what I mean? Like it's like that shanty town from They Live,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's the Grapes of Wrath. That's the kind of scenario that you see where it's like people willing to do whatever to get by. But in this scenario, you have the opposite. You have businesses scrambling to try to get people to work for it. Every single fast food restaurant is paying $15 an hour right now.
Right.
And literally every place is hiring. Yeah. So where did all the people go? Are they just getting government money to stay home? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't know either, and that's what throws me for a loop. So, and so I was trying to read up on this stuff too. So like, and just in passing, reading, just like, well, the vaccine mandate has probably had a negligible small effect, 1 to 5% or whatever. Okay, sure, maybe so, but like, and then people couch it in like, yeah, people are now finally done with these these bum jobs where the employer takes advantage of them and gives them low pay, and now they're revolting, and it's a workers' revolt to get more money, and they're finally benefits are gonna come up and pays. I was like, Not necessarily. Like not just
That's
because
how
you said
inflation
so.
happens. I mean,
Yeah, right. So right. So you can do that.
If you pay everybody more, then every single thing that you buy is going to go
Costs
up by
more.
the exact
Right.
same percentage. That's why inflation is higher than the
Yeah, and then
the
you're
GDP
right. So everything you made in your wage increase is eaten up by your cost of living, and it's freaking stupid. So like,
right.
I was
So
just like,
everybody is basically the same, except for the fact that the
Well-
people that make money off of our interest rates, the banks and stuff, they all get richer.
yeah, no, but I don't see. Here's this thing though. Like, I don't believe the article, and like, I don't see, I don't feel people going, and I don't hear people going. There's like, I am finally, I'm wage. It's a wage revolt, is what people are saying. Like, no, it's not. Like, there's no way it's a wage revolt. Like, because
It
doesn't matter
a
what-
question. Yeah, if you're
a
making
wa-
$15
Go
an
ahead.
hour at Wendy's, but you can make $10 an hour staying home from the government. Yeah, that's
Right.
less money, but then now you're getting paid $3 to work at Wendy's, and that's not worth it for anybody.
exactly, and nobody gets that calculation. I know we talked about that.
If I could make 75% of my income by staying home
For doing
I would,
nothing?
I would do that. Yeah.
it's not a bad gig, isn't it? That's a pretty good gig.
that sounds living the dream.
Like, honey, like we're gonna reduce our lifestyle 25%, and we have 40 hours a week to do whatever we want.
Oh man,
It's pretty nice.
You tell
Pretty
me.
nice. Pretty nice. Yeah. So the giant macroeconomic like analysis and calculuses are just such a cluster and like super hard to navigate, but none of it's good. Like none of the signs are good. So like even if it's like even it is only all right. So say it's 1% of 4.5 million, which is like 45,000 people. 45,000 people a month quitting because of COVID mandates. That's bad because we need workers. We don't have workers. Like for whatever reason we don't.
Yeah.
So it's just
What's
another
even crazier is like the trucker stuff. You know, like a lot of that stuff. You know, like say the
Yeah.
price. You know, steak is the new champagne. Somebody said that the other day, and it's like
I've been eating steak like a fiend.
from my cold dead hands. But like
I will give
The
up
idea-
on milk for my children. to
like
eat
there's a
steak.
problem with truckers, and I'm like, could
There
you
is.
find, because they're, you know, these mandates, I'm like, could you find a more socially distanced job than trucker? Like you're
Yeah.
literally by yourself in a metal box all day long.
But see, that's got something to do with, and I don't know enough about this. I really need to do some research, but it's so hard to find like good information. What the hell is going on with the ports? And like, why are there thousands and thousands of ocean containers just sitting off the shore? And why can't we get that product in here? Why won't they offload it?
Unions
Why
or
won't they
something
truck
like
it?
dock, you know, not dock workers, you know,
Dockers.
Yeah.
Dockers.
dockers, dude.
Yeah, I would imagine that's part of it. I know there's stupid state rules in a lot of the big port cities, but like, and
Because
like
if you
I've
think
heard
about it,
something-
where are the big port cities? You know, they're in pretty blue voting areas. You know, San
yeah,
Francisco.
almost exclusively, yeah, like L.A., Baltimore, that kind of stuff, Matt. But like, I heard some stuff too, like on the ships, like if there's a case of COVID, you gotta like wait it out, or you can't.
Like
or,
you, can't
you know what I
just
mean?
put-
Like
you can't just put on a mask and use a crane to lift up a
they use
tanker
a crane anyway.
full of
You're not like
microchips and T-shirts from China.
they're not handing off boxes to each other. It's a freaking giant.
yeah, it's not
it's
like
a boat
you know,
that
you're
has.
here's a case full of Sumatran rat monkeys that are just gonna.
It's like the Simpsons where like they open up the box and like just thing just goes. It's like the Japanese flu that gets everybody sick in Springfield.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong. I know you don't watch the Simpsons like I do, but either way, it's a silly thing like that. Like it's
Yeah.
not happening that way. That's not a thing. But like again, I don't know if that was true. I'm just saying what I've heard. So like I don't get it. So there's
Yeah, and they're acting like it's
but-
the Black Plague or something. Like I was listening to this thing about like Norway was like the last country in Europe to survive the Black Plague because like it was so isolated, and then
Yeah.
like people could pinpoint the one ship that finally brought it there. And it was literally like something,
Oh, that
something out of
sucks.
like a ghost movie. It was like there was a ship coming into like Oslo or whatever, and they were like trying to reach it on like by waving at it, and it just like kept coasting, and then it just went like into the dock,
Just crashed in.
and it was just all covered in dead people, and there was like rats everywhere, and then that was what
Oh.
brought the Black Plague to Norway.
awful. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So like it's all over hysteria over everything, and it's just making shit worse. And like so like okay, so again, just in general though, think about like supply chains and supply lines and transportation and manufacturing and all that stuff. If 1 to 5% of the workforce is gone, and like everyone runs like a lean ship on transportation, on inventory, on manpower. Like you start accumulating 5% of your manpower is out, 5% of your materials out, 5% of your transportation's out, 5% of your imports are out.
You're talking about at least a 5% increase in costs. If not
Yeah, but then, not even that. Then you start talking about bottlenecks and like just like if that 5% is gone, your capacity is gone by 5%. Eventually, over 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, that crap catches up with you. And this is why, like, if I order a window in my company, I need a manufactured window or just a normal piece of aluminum for storefront stuff that it normally takes 4 weeks. It's taking me freaking 12 weeks now. It's crazy. Like stuff is it's getting worse and worse and worse. And I
tried to buy a printer the other day. I had to go to like 5 different stores.
I tried to buy ink today through HP because I have a stupid app that makes it super easy. Just put it's like out of stock. I was like, what the hell? I can't even get ink for my computer. That's on Amazon.
Get you. Do you know that printer ink is the most expensive liquid on the planet?
That makes sense.
Dollar per pound,
per ounce.
More expensive than like caviar or like mercury or whatever the shit.
Well, I was glad I didn't get it because then I went to Amazon and I saved like $30 on like the 3 cartridges I was going to get. I was like, oh, it's way cheaper here.
Did you get the genuine HP version or?
Yeah, I did. I think so.
Because a lot of people get caught in that rabbit hole. I've had people like, it's good to get more ink for the printer. And I go, okay, cool. Well, we got some that said they were compatible. And I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. Their printer companies got smart and they realized that people were getting aftermarket ink cartridges. Yeah. And now they don't let you do that anymore.
Well, it said HP and it gave the exact model number I had. So I'm assuming it's right.
That's HP Guts. It's good. You buy
it. Hector Projecto Ink Company. Ooh.
It's like, this phone doesn't even connect it to anything. Yeah, it's cordless phone now.
Your computer runs on 7 hectoliters per mile. Like, computers don't work that way. Like, you buy now.
Yeah. The computer industry it's the microchips and stuff. Like, I've got a video card in my computer that I bought in 2016 that's worth more now than it was back then.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's also because of the crypto thing. Like, so people who are mining Bitcoin, for some reason, like graphics processors are like really good for that. So there are these nerds that like set up like these little computer farms, like in their house or in their business or whatever, just cranking away, like just mining all these ones and zeros to make like crypto. And so like every time like Bitcoin goes up a little bit, then there's a shortage in graphics card. Like we go into Best Buy, like I want to play Call of Duty, and you go, sorry, like they've all been bought. It's weird. Or if you try to order like a gaming computer, they're like the backlog is like a month.
Yeah. See, that's part of why I don't understand cryptocurrency. I like the idea of a decentralized blockchain currency. I get that. How you find value in that, I don't get. It sounds to me like I dug a ditch and I filled it in. I've just been doing that for days. I found 100 people to dig ditches and fill it in. Now I have a Bitcoin. Like, okay, you didn't actually do anything. Like, it's not a thing.
It's like, that's a. It's kind of
but then again,
scheme when you think about it.
But currency is not a thing. It's just a unit of exchange.
Yeah, on one hand, Bitcoin is better than what we have now because it's not controlled by a government. But on the other hand, it's even more separated from reality than the dollar is.
That's right. Yeah, because at least with the dollar, you can be like, I see how you minted that thing. I get that.
It's a piece of paper that's worth nothing, but at least it's generally agreed upon. But all the value of Bitcoin is speculative.
Yeah.
Meaning the reason it's worth a whole lot more now than it was 10 years ago is because all these people are like, oh, it's the next big thing. And so that it becomes, it's like a piece of art almost, Oh,
like
there's
an NFT.
There's a Guernica. Okay, well, that's worth millions of dollars. Like, why? Well, because we know people will pay for it, but it artistically may not be worth that.
Right. Sidebar. Sorry. But yeah, right. Sucks, man.
Of course, it's only a matter of time until the government figures out a way to tax that.
Right.
Or I heard they were introducing some sort of new thing in the tax bill. That's part of all that stuff. They're like, oh, actually,
for sure.
Where you have to like, did you get earnings from like dividends on cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they can't let that party go on. They go, we got to crash that and take a piece of the pie.
The governments are going to start issuing their own cryptocurrency as well. So like, none of this stuff is gonna. I'm not saying none of it's going to work. I mean, hopefully it works, but like
you've earned 3 Joe bucks.
There's got to be competing government interests in all of it. Oh yeah, another thing in the same bill, like the, like tracking banking accounts that have transactions over $600.
$600. Yeah, I heard about that.
Like, everybody who makes like $13 an hour, like or something like that. Like if you work like $13 an hour, do a little bit of overtime, your payroll check is $600. Like that's crazy. Like per week or especially for 2 weeks. Like that's certainly going to happen. So the federal government is going to be coming hard if they allow that. They are looking for that extra cheddar, that extra taxable income. They're going to start.
Yeah, I have to imagine that the only recourse there is to just sort of hide in the crowd. Like as you know, in the musician world, everybody's like trying to get paid under the table. You know, and everybody figures that like, okay, the government has bigger fish to fry than to try to come after like this musician person who makes $30,000 a year playing at bars. They're not going to sit there and be pouring through their W-2, their 1099s and all this kind of stuff to figure out like, was that an actual business expense where you declared all that gas? Like they're not looking.
Well, it's not even that. They're just going to go, your deposits don't match or there's going to be an algorithm where your deposits don't match your W-2, and they're going to do a evaluation that way and go, hey, what happened there? So I mean, yeah. So if you deposit that,
right. So they're going to get a hold of your banking records.
Yes. Because right now it's like every transaction over $10,000 has to be reported, and that was like for talking about people like they're depositing like 10 grand, like you're probably a drug dealer, so let me look into you, like that kind of thing. Or you could be like a restaurant that has like 10 grand in cash or something like that. So like now it's $600. Like any deposit of $600 flags your account to the federal government. If that I don't know if that's something that's passed or that's part of the bill that hasn't. Whatever. I'm sure it'll get in there because it's written in there, and no one's going to take it out.
Maybe this might be a situation where governmental incompetence will work in our favor.
Oh God, let's pray, Dan. We'll pray that's the case.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. So to recap, vaccine mandates bad. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think so. I think in all instances it's bad, and like it's just bad, and that's not even just to speak to the efficacy of the vaccine. Like I could care less. It could be the greatest vaccine in the world, but you still don't have the right to do it. And it's still shitty to make. It's still shitty to hold people hostage based on their employment and feeding their families and supporting themselves. That's just a crappy thing to do. You're putting people in a really that's a desperate position to put it in, and I don't mean that term in like a really like. I'm not trying to be like dramatic there. It's a desperate position to put people in and be like, well, I have to do it.
Yeah. Well, made all the worse by the fact that you basically are forcing people to get to a position of such desperation that the only place they have to turn is, government, can you help me? Yeah. And it's like, that's what they want.
They definitely want that.
That Ronald Reagan quote where it's like, what's the scariest thing that you can hear is like, I'm here from the government. I'm here to help.
I'm here to help. Yep. Exactly. So like power breeds power, and like the most power you can have over somebody is dependency. Like
because once they get it in here, like then if you want to vote it back, then they'll just point at you like that person wants to take money out of your pocket,
Yeah.
Because it's like once they can't walk anything back.
Yeah, no,
and it's hard because the average people, don't really thinking about this stuff too much. So like nobody's going to go to the polls in 2022 and vote against free money. Like they might.
Oh no, it's absolutely.
Yeah,
no, it's absolutely bonkers. I get a direct deposit from the federal government in my checking account every month now for like $500.
Yeah, I get $250.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's absurd. I don't deserve that money. I don't need that money. It's like I guess it's my child tax credit or whatever. But
it's your money, so I mean,
yeah, I get that. Now, however, so my child tax credit is probably in the way my taxes work out, it's actually a decent credits. But like there are people that they're the way their credits, their rebates, and all that stuff works out, they get more money back than they pay in.
Yeah,
there's a huge percentage of the population that does that. Like something like 40% of taxpayers get more money back than they pay in, depending on whatever program you're talking about, not just like tax rebates. It just could be it's a net thing,
right?
So like as soon as you start it, like if anyone goes stop that, they're gonna go, they're like you said, they're taking money out of your pocket, they're taking money from your kids. It's like, oh my god, it's freaking crazy, man.
We need to make the rich pay their fair share.
Yeah,
it's like Oh, okay. So the top
And also,
one,
we need
the
the
top one
we need the track.
10% paying 80% of the government's budget. That's not their
Oh,
fair
I think
share.
it's yeah, right. It's a crazy number. Like you could take yeah, so like I remember there like during the Occupy Wall Street stuff, which was actually had some good things about it. Like the whole banker bailout was complete bullshit. But like
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
yeah, but like the 1%, like if you take the 1%'s income and not their income, take their income, like a wealth tax, 100% income, 100% wealth. Take the 1%, take all their wealth together, you would fund the federal government for like 8 months.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. That's it. And then like also those people are decimated, and then you couldn't tax them anymore, and that's it. And then the rest of it is taxing the rest or borrowing and inflating, and that's really what it comes down to: borrowing and inflating. And that was Occupy Wall Street was what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, but 2011.
Yeah, right. And like the budget now is 7 times as much, so it's not even 8 months. It's probably like 3 months, 2.5
Yeah.
months, if that.
And that was the Obama administration.
Yeah,
You know,
crazy.
people talk about like capitalism is bad, you know. And I was like, hey, look, it was your boy Obama who was like, oh, let's bail out all these people that ran their own businesses into the ground.
Dude, that bailout was only like $800 billion or 700 billion. I say only $700 billion, $800 billion. And then like the stimulus bill last year was like 3.5 trillion.
Yeah.
The stimulus bill, the additional thing they did over the budget.
Yeah. And the new one is
That-
another 5.5.
Yeah, something like that, which is totally paid for, by the way. It costs $0.
It's actually totally paid for.
Yeah, and fairy
Like
tale land.
that is literally the definition of a Ponzi scheme. We will pay for
Yep.
it with money that we will get later from people. Which people? You people.
Yeah.
You know.
And actually, and even then, also, it's cuts over a 10 or 15-year period. And by cut, we mean a decrease in the increase. So, like, we get more money every year, but
Yeah.
instead of getting more money, we're just going to get more money.
Yeah,
We won't get more and more
the
money. We'll get
and
more
what we're
money.
doing is we're taking money from future you, giving it to present you,
Yeah.
but you won't be able to invest that money because the inflation is so high that it'll actually be worth less in the future.
Of course it will. Yep. Yeah, no, it's infuriating.
It's like
Desperately
it's like the
infuriating.
government went to all those people in Hollywood with their Hollywood accounting. It's like, teach us your ways. You know, how
Yeah.
can you take a Marvel movie that makes $400 million and then act like it didn't gross $1?
Can you tell me about that reverse mortgage again? Let me see how that works. Like,
Yeah, how does
Basically-
that work? What is a reverse mortgage?
I have no fucking clue. Apparently,
idea.
you somehow your mortgage makes you money. No, it doesn't. That's a lie. Whatever it is, it's a scam. I know it's a scam. I don't even care what it is. It's a
Yeah, I don't
scam.
understand how that works. You see those ads, like, you know, like 11 in the morning, like during the Price is
Yeah.
Right, when you're homesick from school, and they're like, you know, you could qualify for $50,000 as a reverse mortgage. And I'm like, how does this work? Because it's like the ad showed like these old people on like a fixed income, you know, like, and they're sitting there and they're looking concerned with the bills, and it's like, I don't know, honey, you know, and one of them's got a walker, and they're, and it's like, oh, I got a reverse mortgage from Colonial Penn, and now we're great, or something.
Colonial Penn.
I don't know. That's probably life insurance. I don't know.
Rebecca was pushing that pretty hard. Let's see. Everything you need to know about reverse mortgage.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
You're coming in real garbled.
All right. My internet's jacking
Or
up.
it's possible that I'm coming in garbled. Nobody's watching anyway.
I think it's me. Any better? Nope. Can you hear me?
Well, it's coming in little bits and pieces.
Oh no. Well, I think we're about to die. Something's going on here. Hang on.
If you're just joining us, it's 10:33 in the PM. You're listening to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Lionel Osborne. Our guest today is State Comptroller Reginald B. Watson.
I got nothing, so we might be dead here.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess we gotta go.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can you hear me?
It comes in. It sounds like you're garbled and coming in like with a weird latency.
I don't know what's going on, but I just tried to click on the links and everything went sideways and slow. So
What's happening is like there's a gap where there's nothing, and then it plays what would have played, but like sped up. So it's like nothing, and then it's like, okay, can you hear me now? Okay, great. I'm talking at 10 times speed.
cool. I can't wait to hear this later.
Okay, well that's it for the show, folks. We'll talk to you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Outro. Stupid.